But I think most people at this level, they're probably, all, tweaky. They want to fiddle with their gear.
Some people, some people rock through gear, and that's fine. I mean, that's good because you're ultimately, that's what you're doing. You're buying the speakers first, which is what you should do with a headphone first. What we haven't done in a long time is talk about the various or 3 models of headphones we have.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of go over as briefly as possible. The Diana V2, the Diana TC, and the AB1266 Phi TC. It's got a long name, that big headphone.
Yes.
It's got a lot of width to it, so it's got a lot of space in between ear pads, so you got to have a long name to fit in there.
It makes sense.
Yeah. If you were going to spell the name between the ear pads, it will fit. AB1266. TC. Yeah.
Perfect.
Space. The final frontier.
Mm. But it is a common question, and we haven't addressed it in a bit since we updated our lineup, so it seems fair enough. We could talk about the differences between them and why you might choose one over the other.
So let's start with Diana V2, which is our lowest cost model.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks very similar to Diana TC. The designs are very similar, for sure. And I mean, it'd be difficult to tell just by, at first glance, well, what's what.
Well, the easiest way to tell the difference between them is the colors, because they come in different colors. And the V2 comes in black onyx and coffee. And the TC comes in titanium gray and bronze.
Dark bronze.
Dark bronze.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yes. So yeah, aside from the color differences between these two models, they each have different driver designs and different materials the drivers are built with.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore they have, what you could say, different sonic characters. Even though they're both an Abyss House sound, the Diana V2 is purpose-built to not have quite as much resolution as our higher end models. And what I say by that, it's still got a ton of resolution, but it's designed to go and play nice with a bit lesser lower end gear. You don't need to put, $5,000-$10,000 amplifiers in Diana V2. It's more portable friendly because it's a lower impedance. Things like that are really, Diana V2 is made for more of a person that's maybe going to just run it on portables where you're dealing with a battery operated device. It's better at that. It's a little more efficient.
Yeah, we try to design our headphones around the expected use case. So the system you're going to hook it up to and all that sort of deal. And Diana V2 being a little bit lower price, it's more likely you're going to drive it on lower cost gear. You're more likely to want to take it portably and things like that. So we tried to shoot for a little bit higher efficiency and a little bit better sonic character into less than stellar electronics. So you don't need world-class flagship electronics for Diana V2 to sound its best. You can get away with a very wide range of electronics. Whereas Diana TC is kind of sort of a bit more of a demanding headphone on high-end gear. It sounds fantastic and it'll easily excel past Diana V2, but since it can be so revealing, it can actually be a demerit on very low-cost gear. So it's kind of designed for a high-end person looking for high-end gear and a high-end sound. And it's a difficult way to put it because it's not to say that V2 is like bad sounding. It's just, it's for the person that's looking for more or less some forgiveness. They want to listen to less than stellar recordings and not a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000
V2
system, right?
Yeah.
But if you're the permanent tweaker, like if you're the kind of person that always tweaks and you always want to upgrade your gear and you always want to try everything, you want to hear the full character of your system and you want total neutrality, Diana TC is the way to go. But if your system doesn't sound exceptional, well, it's possible that the outcome could be less than you would get from another system, from another headphone.
Yeah, but and on that note, to expand on that too, the deal with the TC is that it was designed to mimic the big 1266. So if you had the two of them side by side on a table and they're both plugged into the same gear and you put on the big guy, the 1266, and you put on the Diana TC. It'd be very difficult from a tonality standpoint to tell the difference. Tonally, from bottom end to top, they're similar. They were tuned to be similar. The driver in the TC is a derivative of this. It's similar. It's 3 millimeters smaller, same driver. What changes it up is the acoustics, because now here you got this big headphone, big ear pads, a lot of space. The 1266 doesn't clamp. You can create space, and so with that space comes more of a sense of space, right?
Yep. Well, I mean, that's why between the two Dianas, that's why they sound similar-ish, because they're the same physical space. So if you were to hear both of them, you'd be like, they have a family sound, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously, it's like I see the TC as like everything this does, but then just more, you know?
Amplified.
Yeah.
And it's not, none of the headphones go over the top, you know, in terms of like they're not bright or anything, like they're full range, but they will take on the sound of the gear. And that's what you get into when you get into the upper levels, like Diana TC and AB 1266. The gear is critical. It requires top shelf gear. And I would say, you know, normally when you get to the level like Diana TC, you're buying the best portable gear there is. Mm-hmm. That's what you need with it, you know. And I'm not saying you couldn't use, like, you know, a Diablo if you want some power, like an hi-fi Diablo to get some juice out of it. It'll be fine if, you know, if the source is okay or if the music's all right. But, you know, but bottom line is that most people are going to go, you know, the high-end Astle Kearns, stuff like that. The high-end, like the Can, I think, has a portable player that's $3,000.
Yep.
You're going to be approaching the price of the headphone for the system, you know, and that's about where you're going to be. And with the 1266, well, pretty much the sky's the limit with people with that. We see them running $50,000, $60,000 systems on the headphones. Seriously, you know, they'll get a $20,000 deck. They'll get the DCS Bartok, and they'll get a tube amp to go with it, like a Audio W33.
Well, I mean, almost nobody's running portable gear with.
Yeah.
I mean, I know of people doing it, but
can.
yeah, it wasn't obviously intended to.
Yeah.
But it can
Right.
be used like that. Yeah.
And we got people that own both.
Right.
You know, they'll take the TC when they go mobile, and they'll have the 1266 just sits at home, and ready for them when they get home with the big gear with the rack mount stuff. You know, so but that's really, I think that's how we found the market differentiates the three, is really what ancillary gear they're mixing with it, and that's pretty much what the plan was with us too when we designed it. We knew that these two models are going to go with top shelf gear, and the Diana V2 will still scale, will still like better gear, you know, and by all means, look, you know, that should be your goal, but it's not as a concern with that model.
I think probably the best way to put it would be Diana V2 is really for the person that just wants to enjoy music. They're not concerned about if a new model comes out, upgrading to the latest and greatest, to continually changing and modifying their system and setup. They want to plug it in to decent gear and get great sound and not worry about it, right? And especially if you have recordings that are older or not particularly exceptional, Diana V2 is probably the way to go. Depends on what you listen to, right? But if you always want to hear the music, you always want to hear the absolute best, most detailed resolution information you can, and you're the type of person who likes tweaking and upgrading and hearing your system, Diana TC is an awesome option, but the trouble is it can be not so forgiving on not good systems.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to put like $700 or $1,000 amplifiers on Diana TC and enjoy it. You really need full range gear.
Some people do that.
You could do it, but you're not going to enjoy it. You know, I don't think the long term it's going to work out. I really don't.
It can be fatiguing on poor gear.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, because really, you know, and it's a shame that we have to go by price on this, but that's just the way it works. You know, unfortunately, I don't have another comparison to go by. It's not like there's a metric that goes, well, this amplifier is a 7.5 or a 23. There's no numbering system other than dollar signs that we can use to, you know, describe the level of, what would you call, refinement with the gear. There's no other way to do it.
It's very difficult. And unfortunately, it comes down to the entire system. And that's part of the appeal to some extent for people of 1266 and Diana TC. Your whole system needs to be good, and then it'll sound spectacular. It'll be some of the best sound you can get, but you need a very refined system. So if you're the type of person that always wants to improve and tweak, and modify, and buy really high-end gear and try things out and hear what the artist intended or recorded and put down on the track, it's a great option. If you just want to hear great music, well, probably Diana V2.
But I think most people at this level, they're probably, you know, all, you know, tweaky You know, they want to fiddle with their gear.
Some people, some people rock through gear, and that's fine. I mean, that's good because you're ultimately, that's what you're doing. You're buying the speakers first, which is what you should do with a headphone first, and then you work around that and figure out what makes it work for you, the type of music you listen to, the volume levels you play at. We hear people that run, and they know what they run. They run 75, 80 dB, very quiet. They have quiet homes. They don't like loud anything. Drives them nuts to go too loud. And so, then power isn't a big concern for people like that. And you got the opposite extreme where people are hitting 120 dB peaks, and it's not good for you, but that's what they do. And they're going to do it no matter what. They're going to do it. So, those guys require more headroom. They require a headphone that can play that to that level. And they need power. You need power to do that, and particularly in our line. So, but again, there's another factor too. I've talked to a number of people over the years that goes, well, I don't really like the look of the 1266. It just, to me, I don't think it would be as comfortable looking at, even though people who try it say, wow, it's way more comfortable than I thought, right? But they look at it and go, it's not something they want to own. So Diana TC is this in a small package, and that's what you've got people buying Diana TC for now. It'll give you this resolution, it'll give you the refinement, it'll give you everything you want, and it'll scale like crazy. And in some respects, the Diana TC has more information than the 1266. Where the 1266 excels, the big guys, in the ability to do basically an unlimited depth. It'll just go whatever the music is, the sound, stage, the whatever the recording shows in terms of even the room boundaries, whatever's in that recording, this thing will just go out beyond to where that is. Where the smaller headphones, due to acoustics and their size of their pads, they'll have a limit of about a half a meter to a meter around your head. So it's like a bubble of sound. Where the 1266, because it's of adjustability and you can space it and gap it, and it has completely open back. It's crazy how it can expand out into space. So, and again, that because it was made to mimic speakers in a room, that's what it does. So if you come from the 2-channel side, let's say you got the biggest Martin Logan speakers they have, you got planers, you got big speakers, subs, right? I mean, that's where this was going. That's where it is.
Just on your head.
Except you wear it on your head, yeah. And that's the cool thing about it is you're not blasting the neighborhood with that, especially at night. So to me, the 1266 is ultimate. Particularly if you're trying to replace or supplement a 2-channel speaker system, it's the ultimate on that. And bottom end is what all these models are really good in the bass, but the 1266 is just crazy what it'll do on bottom when you give it power. Crazy.
I think for the most part, people could differentiate between 1266
you kind of know
and
which
Diana
direction
themselves.
you're going.
Yeah.
Right, but
By looking at
the
it.
2 Dianas, it can be challenging which one to pick. But I do think the easiest way to put it is if you really want all the resolution and information you could get, no question about it, is simple, Diana TC, right?
Right.
If you're on the fence, it could be a little bit more gray, and then you got to think, am I likely to want to change and modify gear in the future? Do I want to keep iterating through and trying new gear and testing things out? Is that something that's interesting to me? Or do I just want to plug it in, set it, forget it, and not think about it for 10 years, right? If you're the type of person that doesn't want to worry, Diana V2 is probably the way to go. It's forgiving, it's easy to play, and generally speaking, it'll sound great on most setups.
I think it's your experience level too. Like I've had people get the V2 thinking they're scared to go higher, and they go, "Oh, I should have got the TC," and then they get the TC. Oh, this is actually what I wanted, and it's difficult. I know it's difficult. Out hearing it is difficult.
Yeah.
And I think it boils down to and some people set their limit at first. Money is an issue too, right? They'll set a lower limit, not knowing how good it gets when you go up. So they say, well, I'm not going to spend more than $2,000 on electronics. Well, that's a mistake at the higher models because you're going to find that $2,000 is a bare minimum, and it really starts these higher, and that goes for any high-end headphone. They really, really start to play into what their capabilities are with the higher end gear.
Well, there's another use case. It's like maybe you do want a 1266, but you're always traveling for work or whatever. Then you get a TC. Then,
right, with a really nice portable player. Yeah.
We've seen more people than I would have guessed driving Diana TC on very high-end setups. I would have expected somewhere in the price range of the cost of the headphone, but there's a handful of people driving it on like DCS Lena stacks and things like that.
Yeah,
It's
they're
just
running
like
serious
ridiculous price
desktop
points.
systems.
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah. And it sounds great, but
In fact, we
wow.
know because most of them are ordered with 4-pin connectors.
That's true. Yeah.
Not 4.4 millimeter.
Yeah,
which
actually,
would
it is probably what 60-70% of them are 4-pin.
way. It's probably even higher.
Maybe higher, yeah.
It's almost everybody gets a 4-pin with that, so you could tell that they don't want to go there, but they'll go there, and
Right.
they're running really high end stuff on it, and it's cool, especially with tubes too. I mean, but I think I think for myself personally, I really love the 1266 with the big tube amp like the WA33, the Woo, But the Diana TC, I prefer with something like the new Lena amplifier and the DCS Lena stack. I like the TC on solid state, and even though they're tonally very close, it's the way they play into the music and the way they present soundstage and imaging and demand power. They're two different kind of animals,
Yeah, well, I mean, that tube like holographic sound really plays well, obviously, with what the 1266 is already doing in that kind of arena.
Yeah, because it can do that infinite depth, and the tubes just kind of throw that kind of spatial information at you, and it just gets you just get absorbed into the friggin' moment with that.
Yep.
It's an amazing combination, and of course you would still need top shelf D-Day or whatever your source is you still need a good source, a good D-Day, and it'll just keep scaling. But yeah, I'm finding with the TC, I prefer a really good solid state amplification, really good, and a good source. And it'll scale like crazy too. So I guess it depends. See, that's where I go. I get people that call me and ask me that kind of question. It's like, you got to feel out where you want to go with this. You got room for a big tube amp or not? I mean, it's a 60-pound amp. We're talking a W33,
Yeah,
right?
they're big.
It's like a beast, right?
Yeah.
It runs a bit warm when it's on for a few hours.
And you can't put anything on top of it. You can't stack anything.
It's a top shelf amp.
Yeah.
It's got to go on the top shelf is what I mean. Well, it is top shelf too, but yeah. So where the solid states, well, hell, you could pretty much slip them anywhere and they're going to survive. They're not running at high temperatures, and so you got to consider your use case, like where are you using this thing. And if you got a dedicated room and the sky's the limit, you're not worried about money. You don't mind spending $3-4 grand on upgrading tubes or power cords or cabling or whatever. Hell, go for the 1266.
Yo, absolutely.
Whatever, do it.
Yep.
Do it. It'll take you to wherever you want to go. You just got to set it up with the gear. But yeah, if space is a concern and you still want that crazy sound, Diana TC, work on the high end solid state, you're good to go. And if none of that fits you right now, start with V2. You can always move up.
Well, it's the thing. I mean, we all have all three, right?
Yeah.
So which one do you use the most then?
I probably am a 1266.
Oh, yeah. See, I use a Diana TC mainly.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually sitting at my desk, so I don't have enough space to put anything big on
Right.
it. So.
And I got the WA33 at home.
Yeah, right.
So I have the amp for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's nothing like listening to live old school concerts on YouTube with optical cable running to my DCS DAC plugged into my WA33 with these. I mean, you'd be surprised, some of the concerts were thrown on YouTube back in 09, 08. Actually, some of the quality on these live concerts was pretty friggin' good back then.
On YouTube?
I know, it's surprising. And I'm not saying that I don't more so appreciate a local file, a not DCS, a friggin' DSD file on a local drive. If I really want to hear shit, nothing like having a file in the home playing off the DAC, off the network DAC through the network. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Now the newer YouTubes, we got to do a video on the YouTube sound quality thing. That's coming up because I meant to do that. The somewhere along the way, YouTube went to 4K video and the sound quality suffered. The algorithms changed that up. We'll talk about that later. But the older YouTube videos, like the live concerts, some of them, and you'll know them when you hear them. As soon as you put them on and you get the freaking audience noise, and it just sounds like you're sitting there with the audience.
Well, it's kind of how all live tracks are. Some are
Some are
really
brutal.
bad and some are really good.
Some are just brutal.
Yeah.
But some are just really well balanced and well done. Like they were made to be recorded. They were recorded as if they were made to be sold.
Some are.
And some are. Yeah, and some are. And you'll find those there. But anyway, yeah, that's my thing with this thing. It's really cool to be able to make that kind of noise on your head at night and not bother anybody, versus throwing on the 2-channel with the subs and
That's a different story.
bugging somebody. Because ultimately the volume goes up as the night
You
goes
wake
on.
up the neighborhood.
Yeah, so, But anyway, that's me. I mean, what about you? We'll talk about what you do with the Diana. You said you run TC?
Yeah, I'm usually at my desk, so on my computer, so I'm either like streaming something or gaming on them. So it's pretty much never break out of 1266.
What are you running on? What amp you running?
Right now I got the not a Formula S. I had a Formula S. Right now I'm running Broadway and the new
KDAC?
KDAC.
Oh,
yeah.
you got the new stack.
Oh, I need one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't have one of those yet. Well, we need to get more here before I can
Yeah,
give you one.
we got like
I'm still using
one.
the
Kind of
GSX
running
Mini.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty
nice,
good.
nice and compact.
We just did a video on that, which we'll put in the description, but we just did a video on the Abyss Diana TC with this new stack, which is the 11 Audio Broadway and the KDAC.
Yeah. The Broadway and the KDAC is a great combination for Diana
really
TC.
good.
It's the obvious choice. If you're in that kind of price range and you're looking at like Diana TC, it's a near perfect setup for it.
Yeah, the two pieces combined are about the same price as the headphone,
Right.
and you just need some interconnect cable and hook up to the DAC with a USB cable to whatever your source is, it could be iPhone or iPad or whatever.
It seems to break into that sweet spot where you're not really wanting for more, but it's also not crazy expensive.
Right.
It's not a $30,000 stack, and it's pretty compact, which is great. Because personally, a big portion of the reason why I like Dyna TC is it gives you most of the sonic characteristics of the full-size 1266, but the portability. And it doesn't seem like maybe in terms of size it's that much, but in terms of like desk usability, it's a big difference between the two. Putting like a 1266 down and putting it back on and using it while you're gaming and stuff like that, it's totally different than using like a Dyna TC. This is so easy to use for gaming, like at a computer
agreed.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more of a-
1266 is kind of impractical
Well, it's
for
more
that.
of a traditional fit, which with
Right.
gaming you're probably moving about a
Well,
little
when
bit.
you're moving around a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
1266 isn't
When
really
you're getting into the game,
well suited for that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you talk to people that run 1266 with game, and they're like, I mean, because you could clamp the thing. I mean,
People
Yeah.
do it,
you
I
could,
know.
you could snug it on your head, and
Yeah.
it'll hold. But yeah, it's not really what It's not really. But people do it. I mean, if you got the space and it doesn't bother you, depending on how you sit when you're gaming,
Right.
Like, let's see if you're sitting on the floor, maybe. You got one of those seats
Well,
on the floor. I don't know how people.
if you have, like, one of those reclining
chair
things,
beanbags, you're like, what the hell, man? You got. Yeah, I could see that maybe. If you got a relaxed position, but at a desk, it seems like it'd be. Playing games seems like it'd be. I don't know. You want more of a traditional fit, but I don't know. I don't play games. You guys seem to.
The traditional fit's the way to go.
Yeah.
And you could slap a mod mic onto the side and you're pretty much running like a normal type of fit gaming headset, but obviously massively improved sonic fidelity.
Do people game on with beanbags?
I mean, probably.
Someone probably does,
Yeah.
sure. Why not? Especially if you're a console gamer.
Yeah.
It's plausible.
I always wanted one of those race car things. Those cars
Oh,
with
yeah.
the gas pedal, the clutch, the steering wheel.
They're pretty
interface.
expensive,
Yeah,
but
they
you could
are,
get pretty good setups
with the
now.
racing seat. That
Yeah.
seems like that'd be if you're gonna do a driving game, joysticks blow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that's all there is to it.
Well, you could
need-
get
need
like
that,
3 curved displays
Right.
that totally encompass your vision.
Yeah,
It's pretty
cool.
exciting, but pretty expensive.
But then again, you might as well just get a car and go out on the road and drive it.
Could
Well,
You can't crash into walls.
That's
and stuff,
that's
though.
right.
You
It's kinda
die
different.
when you do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit.
It is a
both
lot safer.
tailor
Yeah.
into each other a
Yeah,
bit.
you are a lot more abusive in a game. That's for sure.
Yeah, you could just bomb down a wall at 150 miles an hour. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You're always dying in a game.
And there's not consumables, tires and such.
No, that's
that
true.
gets expensive.
Yeah, that's true. It gets really expensive.
Yeah.
Really
Right.
fast. Yeah. So there you go. I hope that explains to everybody the differences, at least how we see it and how we thought of it as designers with these 3 different models. And by all means, if you're still on the fence or you're not sure like what to mix and match with electronics, email us or call us. It's simple.
Yeah.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know it works. Or if you have something already and you want to know, where it's going to stand, email us.
That seems to be the most common question.
Yeah.
It's like, I already have this.
Right.
Will it work?
Usually,
Right.
Usually, if you're asking that, the answer is, well, it'll work, but
Right.
You're probably going to want to upgrade that. The people that have the baller stuff, they already know it's going to work. They're like, oh, we'll be all
yeah,
right.
you already have a WA33.
And if it don't work, I'll get
yeah.
something else. But
Yeah.
right. So anyway, that's the way it rolls with this stuff at the upper echelon of headphones. But thanks everybody for watching. Remember to subscribe. We're still looking to get to 20,000 by December 31st. And we're going to need a big Christmas present if that's going to happen. That's for sure. It's going to be all at the end of the last stretch type
You
situation.
need 10,000 in December.
Yeah, we're going to need to buy these subscribers. Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. It doesn't do
That's
anything.
kind of
Yeah.
useless.
It's
Yeah.
useless.
Take care, everyone. Thumbs us up.